Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we'll be answering a question from our audience on how can we address or mitigate the growing portion of the population considering violence as a legitimate tactic. And I really want to get into talking about various reasons a growing portion of the population is considering violence as a legitimate tactic. And the first one is the echo chambers that people are in nowadays, which far exceeds the echo chambers that people were in a few decades ago. And part of this is because of artificial intelligence. So we're seeing these recommendation algorithms where people believe that they're becoming an expert on a topic. They're watching hundreds, if not thousands, of hours on a topic, but in reality, they're only seeing one perspective on the topic because of the fact that the algorithm is focused on showing them videos similar to the videos that they've already watched. And so, a good example of this is depending on what your AI algorithm is showing you on YouTube, you could be seeing something like the George Floyd incident as either an example of racism or of police brutality in general. And the reason for that is if you're watching videos showing the George Floyd neon neck thing as a racist incident, YouTube's recommendation algorithm will show you other videos that also view the George Floyd situation as a racist incident. Now, unfortunately, from all the available evidence that I've seen, there's not enough to conclude that it was actual racism that led to the death of George Floyd. In actuality, there's another camp, which maybe this is an echo chamber as well, that shows that it's more like police brutality that was the cause of the George Floyd death. And you see that with examples like, I believe his name was Tony Timpa, who was a white person who was treated extremely poorly and murdered by the police as well. And there's video evidence of that, just like there was of George Floyd. However, if you're watching videos explaining, interpreting the George Floyd event as a racist incident, then you're not going to be seeing the videos showing white people being brutalized by police as well. And so these echo chambers, which are not human created, they're humans putting together recommendation algorithms where they want you to focus on the videos on the platform as long as possible. And because of that, they give you information that supports things that the algorithm thinks you already believe. And so you can have two people watching 1,000 hours of YouTube videos, and one of those people sees 1,000 hours of police attacking, brutalizing black people, and you could have another person seeing 1,000 hours of police brutalizing people in general, and both of those people believe they have a correct interpretation of events. They have an accurate interpretation of events because they've watched thousands of hours, and they think that they've been watching holistically how police act in general towards the populace. In reality, they're only seeing things that align with their already agreed perspective, whether their perspective was accurate to begin with or not. That is what the algorithm is feeding them. It's feeding them an echo chamber of similar content. And so a growing portion of the population in America is considering violence as a legitimate tactic because they think they're right. All available evidence is showing them they're right, and it's, I would say, to a large extent because of these AI algorithms, recommendation algorithms that are they're working in the sense that they're getting people to focus on the content. So it's maintaining your attention in an attention-based economy, but they're not working in the sense that they're not giving you a full and accurate picture. And I think it's leading to some very serious problems in society as a whole. And so we need to consider that. We need to address this problem of echo chambers that are primarily caused by AI recommendation algorithms. Another thing, how can we address or mitigate the growing portion of the population considering violence as a legitimate tactic? We don't have a town hall. Or maybe you can consider Twitter a town hall. We would really need to think about that and talk about that. But it used to be the case that people were really interacting and engaging with their local community. And We don't have that anymore. You have online forums, which again represent another type of echo chamber. But things like people getting together on a Sunday and gathering at church doesn't exist anymore. In an actual building, like a community center, a town hall, people don't go to those types of things anymore. And so we've removed every way for people to interact and engage with their community at large. And it's leading to people not really understanding their neighbors. They're not really understanding people who have differences in perspectives because, again, they're having another form of echo chamber where their only interactions are various forms, various platforms that is allowing them to focus on only the things they want to hear that they already agree with, already believe in. An example of this is Twitter, where you could find all different types of Twitters. You think there's one huge Twitter platform, but in reality, you have the one I hear about all the time is called Black People Twitter, and so it's a segment of Twitter where people interact in kind of a web of people who are a part of this, and you have major influencers within the supposed Black People Twitter, and that is just an echo chamber. And then you have other echo chambers as well, where you have various Republican or conservative echo chambers, you have various liberal, left-leaning echo chambers, and you're getting the sense that what you believe is consensus, but in reality, you're just hearing from other like-minded people because that's what the algorithm knows will keep you engaged with the platform. You're hearing people repeating, echoing what you already believe. And so the fact that we don't have a town hall or our town halls are, again, more AI recommendation algorithms is a major concern. And it's leading to people being very hostile to people with even slightly different beliefs than their own. The next thing I'd like to cover in regards to how can we address or mitigate the growing portion of the population considering violence as a legitimate tactic is media and entertainment. Their incentive structure is horrendous, is probably the best way to put it. They glorify anything that is negative because they know that people focus on the negative. We see this all the time, really, in like YouTube clickbaity titles and stuff like that, but people... You can give them 7 compliments, but if they hear one negative comment, they will focus on the negative comment. And media and entertainment has recognized this. And so they're focusing on the negatives because they know that's what sells. They know that's what people gravitate towards. And it makes evolutionary sense when you think about it because typically humans would have to focus on the negative because any negatives, any threats in their environment were typically deadly. We live in a much safer environment right now, but because of evolutionary reasons, we haven't really adapted to focus less on the negative. And so you can think of the vast majority of people focusing overly on the negative as evolutionarily adaptive. But in modern times, it's not a particularly functional thing. But media and entertainment recognizes that the vast majority of people do focus on the negative, and so they give you that because that's what you want to hear. That you want to focus on the negative, you want to be angry, you want to be upset because that's engaging. It gets your attention if you're upset, if you're fearful. And because of the fact that media and entertainment, they're not given a rating or their goal is not to lessen tension between people. Their goal is either to make money in some circumstances or to spew the propaganda of whatever oligarch owns their organization. And so because of that, because their goals don't align with the lessening of tension between people, their incentive structure is improperly aligned with what's necessary for building a functional society. And so we have to change that. We have to change the incentive structure for media and entertainment. There's a great old article in my field of industrial and organizational psychology, which I believe you can read for free because it's such an old article. It's called On the Folly of Rewarding A While Hoping for B. And right now, we are rewarding hostile, negative media and entertainment that gets us angry and upset at our neighbor, but we're hoping for media and entertainment that will bring us all together, and we're just not getting that. So on the folly of rewarding A while hoping for B. The last thing I'll talk about in terms of how can we address or mitigate the growing portion of the population considering violence as a legitimate tactic is common values. I don't understand how we got to where we are. I mean, I see it in like small steps, but overall, I don't know how no one stepped back and looked at the big picture of you don't have a nation, you don't have a community if people don't have things in common. You need things in common. You need what I call unifying factors. You need something like a shared religion or shared kinship, some type of similar biological background. You need something. In America today, the only thing people have in common is like they might like the same sports team or the same sport. Like there's really nothing holding people together aside from mostly inertia. It's like, well, before there was a functioning society with common values. And so people just haven't realized that that functioning society with common values doesn't exist anymore. And so they're slowly realizing it. Inertia can only get you so far. People's favorite sports team can only get you so far. And because of that breaking down of common values, people are thinking about contemplating violence as a legitimate tactic. And that it's not a legitimate tactic. Violence is not the answer. But because people don't have any common values, anything in common anymore, there's no real reason, there's no real explanation for why they should form a cohesive nation. They don't agree on the structure of a nation. They don't have fundamental values in common. So like, what are you basing your society off of? What are you basing your laws off of? And the thing is, you can have two people living across the street from each other, and they have radically different values in America. And so one of them could view certain American laws as completely legitimate, and the other one could view them as completely illegitimate. Because we don't have a shared foundation, a shared common values, there's no basis for a nation. There's no basis for a community. There's no basis for people to get along. And that should be very concerning for you. It's very concerning for me. Other nations still have shared common values that form the basis of their way of governing, form the basis of their legal system. And if you don't have that, you don't have a nation. And so that's leading to people considering violence because they just don't have shared things in common with the legal system in their country anymore, with their neighbors, with anything related to their country. Like they look at the government in charge and they say, this does not represent me at all. This does not represent my values at all. Left, right, libertarian, conservative, neoliberal, neoconservative, it doesn't matter. You have to have something in common, whatever that shared belief is, and your society has to be based off of that. And there's nothing like that in the West anymore. So, kind of a grim ending to this video, but I think it's extremely important that you understand that. So if you thought what I had to say was insightful in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure you don't like what I just had to say. I don't like what I had to say just there. But if you thought it was insightful, please like this video. And if you want to hear more from me, please subscribe to our channel. I also read every comment in the comment box, and I do respond to some of them. I even make videos off of some of them, as you can see here. And so please comment whatever comments, questions, concerns, critiques you might have. And thank you for sticking with us, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.